So the unusual topic of my talk this morning is not my circus, not my monkeys. And you may think it's Jeff gone off the deep end, but it's a Polish proverb that I love. I won't attempt to pronounce it into Polish, but it translates is into from the Polish, not my circus, not my monkeys. And I love it because I think it embodies great wisdom and a profound Buddhist theme. And it's really a proverb, I think, that has found resonance across a lot of cultures because it expresses a really profound life philosophy. And in its core, the phrase reminds us to maintain perspective and boundaries. You know, the Buddha taught us the importance of understanding the nature of attachment, the suffering that arises from it. And when we attach ourselves to problems and distractions of others, we take on the burdens of others that are not ours to bear. And this is akin to voluntarily stepping into a circus that we don't own and trying to manage monkeys that belong to someone else. In doing so, we lose sight of our own path and our own peace of mind. It's a huge distraction. And the saying emphasizes the importance of recognizing what is within our control and what is not. And it's not to be mistaken for indifference toward the suffering of others or a lack of compassion. That's not what we're talking about here. And what I love about the metaphor is that it brings up images of chaos and disorder associated with the circus, which is normally thought of as a place of vibrant but tumultuous activity, just all kinds of craziness going on. And like a traveling circus with its performing monkeys, other people's chaotic situations, they can be attention grabbing, dramatic, and even entertaining, but that doesn't mean we ought to get entangled in them. You know, the monkeys symbolize the problems or issues that belong to that specific environment, not our own. Okay, just as we wouldn't be expected to step in and manage a circus we don't own or control unruly monkeys that aren't ours. We shouldn't feel obligated to insert ourselves in every dramatic situation we encounter, even if only for the entertainment value, and because that's often the allure. When we say, not my circus, not my monkeys, we distance ourselves from situations or problems that are not ours to take on. So it's really about the healthy boundaries that we talked about last month. And again, this is not about being callous or uncaring. It's about recognizing the distinction between genuine opportunities to help others and those that are just, high drama, entertaining, or whatever, situations that we're involving ourselves would be neither helpful nor healthy. It's about understanding that sometimes the kindest thing we can do, both for ourselves and others, is to step back and allow people to manage their own challenges. We don't have to take on all the challenges of the world. And it's about developing the wisdom of knowing when to do so. This is where our wisdom and discernment comes into play. And as I said, this detachment is not an act of indifference, but it is an act of wisdom, recognizing the limits of our own responsibility. And it's even more challenging in our super connected, information driven social media world where we sometimes feel compelled or triggered to get involved in situations that really don't concern us. You know, social media platforms amplify this tendency. You know, they invite us to weigh in on every issue, from personal disputes to global crises to you name it. And this proverb advises against this kind of reflexive, reactive engagement. It suggests instead we focus on our own responsibilities, our own challenges, because it is, if we get attached to this other stuff, it's just going to create more chaos in our lives. So by setting healthy boundaries, we not only conserve our own emotional and mental resources, but we focus on the issues that really matter to us. and where we can make a genuine impact. We drop the rope on matters over which we have no control or where our involvement clearly will not be helpful. And this is especially important in our closer interpersonal relationships, family, friends, close community. Adopting the not my circus, not my monkeys mindset can lead us to both healthier relationships with clearer boundaries and reduce stress in our own lives and often in the lives of others. Because when we get entangled, we just kind of create more drama for everybody involved. Think about a scenario where a close friend or family member is embroiled in some drama or some conflict. If we jump in the middle of that uninvited and start offering advice or assistance, we're more likely to exacerbate the situation and lead to unnecessary stress rather than really help calm things. It reminds me of that other adage you've probably heard, too many cooks spoil the brew. I mean, we just don't need to be in there mucking around. So by recognizing that these problems, and this is again discernment, are not ours to fix, we provide support without becoming entangled ourselves. There's the distinction, there's the discernment. I can support you, I can be there for you, but I'm not going to get entangled in it. We respect the autonomy of the other person or the other people. And this really conveys to them that they have the capacity to solve their own difficulties, to focus on their own growth, their own happiness. And this is a huge issue for most of us that have adult children because we just have so much trouble getting out of the way. I'm out here with my son and his significant other, and I'm just aware of this moment to moment of wanting to sort of butt in and tell them how they should do things. So I've really been working with this week. We talked about emotional intelligence last week, and the proverb aligns with that with regard to managing our emotions and understanding the emotions of others and where the dividing line is, where that bright line is. And it encourages us to rely on our self-awareness to make that distinction. And when we do that, we see when we are crossing boundaries. We see that when we're stepping into situations that really we ought not be stepping into. Becoming overly involved in situations that solve neither our interest or well-being or that of the others. And when we stand back and respect the boundaries, it really promotes empathy because there's capacity then for empathy. By respecting your responsibilities and challenges, acknowledging your autonomy and capabilities, I have the capacity to feel empathy without getting all involved. So implementing this philosophy requires several key skills. The first is recognizing the ability to recognize when a situation truly requires our involvement versus when we're being pulled into unnecessary drama. Because we're interpersonal and social creatures, it's very easy to get triggered into situations that we have no business getting entangled in. But that impulse, that reactivity often is, let me get it, jump in there and fix it. So we take that pause, we use our discernment, we use our wisdom to not go there. The second step is learning to say no without guilt. Okay, understanding that maintaining firm emotional boundaries, it's not selfish. It's essential for healthy functioning for both ourselves and the other folks. And then finally, trusting that others, and this is a big one, especially with our kids, trusting that others are capable of handling their own challenges. Maybe not the way I would do it, but they're going to have to figure it out. And that sometimes the best support we can offer is allowing them to do so. Okay. Now, this whole idea today shouldn't be used as an excuse for complete detachment or in avoiding our responsibility when we genuinely should be involved, or when someone comes to us and says, wants to bounce some perspective or questions off of us. There are times when the circus is indeed ours and the monkeys are indeed our responsibility. It may be in our professional life, in our families, in our communities, or whatever. But the key issue here is discerning the difference and responding appropriately. And that is where our wisdom kicks in. That is where our practice comes to bear. Um, there are times, in practicing the wisdom of this proverb, we cultivate equanimity, okay? Because it's the equanimity that allows us to not just, you know, leap without thinking about it, just to jump into the middle of it. An evenness of mind that allows us to remain centered and peaceful amidst all the chaos around us. Because if we're not practicing that, we're going to get triggered into being pulled into these situations. We learn to observe the unfolding of events in front of us without becoming overwhelmed, without becoming reactive, and without feeling like we have to step over the boundary. This is not a withdrawal from the world. It is a skillful engagement with the world. So once again, using wisdom, use discernment to stay out of situations that we really aren't going to be helpful with. So that is not my circus, not my monkeys.